What is going on, guys? Jason Burke here, Styles Clash for Life, coming at you on YouTube, and today I've got some football focus. The Pittsburgh Steelers just finished their Week 18 matchup of the 2023 NFL season, their last regular season matchup of the 2023 NFL season against Baltimore in Baltimore. You know what it's going to be. Baltimore's already got the 1 seed, so they were resting a lot of their starters, including Lamar Jackson. Tyler Huntley played quarterback today, which boded well for us. More importantly, the field was an absolute mess. It was a rainy mess. We are a snowy, cold mess right now in Pittsburgh. In Baltimore, they are a rainy mess with a very nasty, damp, ugly field. And that played into the style of this game a lot today. You always love games like this. You know, Pittsburgh playing for their playoff lives. They had to win and hope for a little bit of help to get in. We'll talk about the scenarios now. Now that Pittsburgh has won this game. But yeah, at Baltimore, playing against the Ravens, end of the season for our playoff hopes. They wanted to knock us out. We wanted to help ourselves try to get in. So here we go. The game was nasty. Like I said, you knew it wasn't going to be the recent offensive run we've had lately with Mason Rudolph in the game because of how rainy and nasty the field was. I wrote down on paper as soon as I saw the field conditions, I said, this is the Najee and Muth game. I said, Pat Freiermuth and Najee Harris are going to dominate this game. I was half right. Najee Harris did. Najee had a great game, his second straight 100-yard game for the first time in his career, 2 straight 100-yard games. He got himself well over 1,000 yards for the season. He ended up the second half of his season very, very well. Ever since we, put Broderick Jones in, put Chooks on the bench, got rid of Matt Canada, the run game has picked up significantly with both Najee and Warren. This was not Warren's finest game, but it was a very good game for Najee in the rain, playing old school Steeler football, the old school Jerome Bettis, run the ball, run guys over, block, manage the clock, hold the ball, keep possession, stuff like that. Pittsburgh did great in time of possession today, played pretty solid overall. We came out, first or second drive, came right down the field, really good run game. Got a few short passes to Muth and to Deontay Johnson, getting a few short first downs, keeping Mason with the short middle of the field throws, letting, do a couple jet sweeps, couple little screen things, but nothing too fancy. Really just pounding the ball, running between the tackles. That was Pittsburgh's biggest line of success today, was running the ball between the tackles, letting Najee run straight up. And we noticed that when they tried to bounce the ball outside with Najee, it did not work. It was always for a loss. But anytime he was getting the ball between the tackles and letting our inside guys block and pulling guards and pulling blockers like Connor Hayward, which we'll talk about, Najee had big success on the ground leading this team. Mason also had some nice plays. Couple good third down throws to the outside, a few in the middle. Not enough in my opinion. I would have changed a couple of play calls, but Mason being safe with the ball and then one big touchdown play in the second half, early in the fourth quarter to kind of ice it for us. So we get out to a nice 7-0 lead with Najee running the ball, and then things get super ugly. But Baltimore pretty much gets shut down for almost in the entire first half. Pittsburgh also starts fumbling a lot of bobbled snaps today. Warren fumbled one. Mason Rudolph fumbled one. He had one bad series where he fumbled twice. He tried to push the ball forward once and fumbled and recovered it, and then he fumbled 2 plays later and the Ravens recovered it. Jaylen Warren also fumbled one and lost the fumble today. Also fumbled a second time and recovered it. So a lot of fumbles today, very just sloppy, nasty conditions. A lot of guys bobble and stuff. So Pittsburgh gets out to a 7-0 lead. Baltimore finally, with 3 minutes left in the first half, drives down very smoothly and gets a very easy touchdown. Isaiah Likely, just like a 5-play drive, just bang, bang down the field, ties the game up, and then it's a dogfight from there. Steelers and Ravens tied up until the fourth quarter. Mason hits Deontay Johnson on a nice little slant play, very much like the one that he hit George Pickens on 2 weeks ago. In Cleveland for the big long touchdown. Deontay takes a nice slant, goes upfield, and gets a 71-yard touchdown, putting us ahead, and we didn't look back. We held the ball after that, got another fumble recovery, got a field goal, and go on to win the game 17-7. Let's talk about stats, then we'll talk about possible playoffs. Mason Rudolph today, pretty efficient. Only 2 incomplete passes all day, 18 for 20. Now, granted, he didn't pass the ball a lot. He was doing a lot of dink and dunk, a lot of short passes, a lot of outside passes behind the line of scrimmage to his running backs, checking down a lot. Again, it was a very sloppy game on the field, so I don't blame Mason for that. But 18 of 20, 152 yards, 1 touchdown, no picks, but did lose a fumble in this game. Najee Harris dominates the run game. Big game ball to him. I'm going to give Mason Rudolph a game ball as well. You know what? Overall, not a bad game for Mason. Again, a couple checkdowns to Deontay, a couple checkdowns to Freiermuth, which they should have used more of. The really nice touchdown pass to Deontay, and he got a couple nice ones when he had to. A few to Connor Hayward, a few to Najee Harris. They dink and dunked, but he was very smart with the ball for the most part, minus the ball getting loose on those fumbles. He played a pretty efficient, solid game overall, and he got the touchdown when he had to, and he converted third downs when he had to. So game ball to Mason Rudolph, who now gets us to 3-0 to end the season, in spite of this being kind of not as good as his last two games because of the field. Najee Harris, the biggest game ball on offense for us, 26 carries, 122 yards, and a touchdown. Also 5 catches for 21 yards. He was a big contributor out of the backfield today as far as catching passes, getting himself available. Warren caught 3, but Najee had 5 and had a couple really nice broken tackles. So, again, Najee between the tackles and catching the ball today, very effective. 122 and a touchdown on the ground, 5 for 21 in the air. Jaylen Warren also had 9 carries for 33 yards, but did fumble. 2 fumbles total, 1 was lost. So Warren did not have the smoothest day in the world today. Just had a hard time holding the ball, and it caused him to have to stall his runs a lot. And so this was more of a old school Steelers smash mouth game, which suits Najee Harris a lot better. So not Warren's finest game, but Najee did great. Deontay Johnson, 4 catches, 89 yards, and a touchdown. Had a couple nice short ones early where he was getting open in the middle of the field, making some nice short routes, and then he got the slant where he took 171 yards, so big day for Deontay Johnson. George Pickens, not targeted at all in the pass game. I know it's a big surprise, but George Pickens is mostly a big down-the-field one-on-one guy, and the conditions were sloppy and the ball was wet, so I can understand where he wasn't targeted deep, but he was blocking today, and he was not throwing a fit about not getting the ball today, so kudos to Pickens there. Offensive line, big positive. Anytime you're in a sloppy game and you're not having a lot of bad snaps and a lot of guys falling over around your feet and you're blocking well for the run game, it's a big win. I want to give all 5 of those offensive linemen really good game balls today. I was very scared of Mason Cole today. Coming into this game, he's had the last 5 or 6 games where he's been abysmal with snaps. He has not been snapping the ball well at all. He's been having 2 or 3 errant snaps a game. Coming into such a nasty rain game, I was terrified. He did not do very badly. A couple snaps were a little bit low. Mason had to look the ball in, hold the ball with 2 hands. He was careful. But Mason Rudolph, I should say. Mason Cole, though, no real egregious snaps. Nothing really bad. A couple a little low, but nothing bad. So credit to Mason Cole today for being good with the snaps. I thought James Daniels, minus the 1 sack he allowed on the linebacker, played pretty well overall today. Sayamalu got to the next level several times today. I got to say, special shout out, Connor Hayward gets a game ball. It's going to look weird because Connor Hayward only had 2 catches today, but one of the catches was one that was a one-handed catch that was way behind him. He reached behind him, caught the ball with one hand, spun around, and got a first down. So a little 3-yard play that winds up being more important, and then got another 2-yard catch. But the blocking today, he was pulling a lot. They were doing kind of the same play over and over again, especially in the 3rd and 4th quarter, where they would send Allen Robinson in motion and then put him on the end of the line to block, and they would pull Connor Hayward off the line at tight end to go and run across and pick up a block across field for Najee to run downfield. So Daniels and Sayamalu were getting themselves downfield, picking up their guys, and Connor Hayward was blocking lights out, knocking dudes on their ass, pushing guys back. Big game ball for all 5 offensive linemen, and a special game ball for Connor Hayward in this one. So that's all we got for offense. Only 17 points, only 2 touchdowns, but they came at the right time. We were conservative as possible. We also still used Mason at times to look downfield and convert key balls, and he did. 3-0, so I'll take it. Defensively, 4 sacks today. TJ Watt gets 2 sacks. Played a very good game, sprung off the line several times, then got hurt. He was looking up in the air, trying to bat a ball, looking back to where the ball was being thrown. Montravis Adams was blocked or came back into him, swept his leg out, hit his knee, caused his foot to kind of bend in a little bit. He did get up and walk off on his own power into the tunnel and was out for the game. Hopefully, if we do get into the playoffs, which we'll discuss in a second, we'll get him back for next week, as he is our DPOY. He is the best defensive player in the NFL and by far the best for us. But 2 sacks for TJ Watt, got in the backfield a ton today. Also got a tackle for a loss in the run game. He was huge. Marcus Robinson got a sack today. Mark Robinson. Who's Marcus Robinson? That's my next door neighbor. Mark Robinson got a sack today. He came shooting off the line. Really good inside linebacker blitz on a nice sack. Also had a couple tackles in the run game. But overall, it was not his finest game because when he was asked to cover the pass, he got victimized. So essentially, Mark Robinson plays the run game and plays the blitz very, very well. When he gets to be physical and tackle and he can do the form stuff, he can do it well. But when he's asked to be in the pass game and sit over the middle and watch the short passing game, he's abysmal at that. So he did some things great, some things bad today. So he gets a plus minus. Marcus Golden came in for TJ Watt and had a really, really good game. He had a fumble recovery. We had two fumble recoveries in this game. 2 forced fumbles, 2 recoveries. Marcus Golden had one. I think his was the one in the late third, early fourth that kind of helped us to seal the game. So excellent job for Golden on that. Also a nice sack on the quarterback. He played a very valuable role as our third outside linebacker. And that's why you go out and you draft a guy in Nick Herbig who's been phenomenal. And you pick up a very solid veteran in Marcus Golden on basically for no money, coming in to be the third/fourth guy. They kind of alternate with Herbig. But Golden and Herbig are valuable pickups when you got a guy as good as TJ who gets hurt. You lose your best defensive player, the NFL's DPOY essentially, and you still have Highsmith, Golden, and Herbig in there to rush the quarterback. That is pretty good depth. Let's get TJ back for next week, though, if there is a next week. Also, Eric Rowe today, 10 tackles, played very, very well. Also got a forced fumble. I've been up and down on Rowe. Rowe came in starting at corner/safety. He's kind of played both positions depending on our needs. Our safeties are really, really banged up. Once again, Minkah Fitzpatrick did not play in this game. I don't even think Devontae KZ played in this game. I think he was out too. Fitzpatrick was out. He's been out most of the season. Keanu Neal's been out most of the season. I don't think KZ was in today either. So it was essentially Rowe. I think Elijah Riley played a bit. Maybe. I think Killebrew played a bit. We have been banged up at safety. Safety and inside linebacker have been our woes all year. So Rowe bounced from corner to safety. He got a big pick in the first game and a couple nice tackles against Cleveland, and then he missed some tackles and put himself in bad spots, chasing guys down. So he had a very up and down game his first game. Didn't play well his second game. Couple nice tackles in the run game, but very bad in the pass game. This week, playing the short pass across the middle, coming down from safety to tackle the tight ends, catching short passes. He was on it. Good play recognition, solid tackles, hard hits, jarred a few plays loose, 10 tackles for short gains in the pass game, and also a fumble recovery. A forced fumble punching the ball out. Excellent game today for Rowe. So I've been up and down on him. He's given some plays up, but he's gotten a lot of splash plays. Making more positive than negative overall, kind of like Levi Wallace was last year, not this year. Levi's been terrible this year, played okay today. But Eric Rowe has been up and down for us, and I go back and forth on whether or not we should re-sign him going forward. But good game today. Larry Ogunjobi also, 2 good quarterback pressures, no sacks, but 2 good pressures. Also a tackle or 2 in the run game, and a fumble recovery for him as well. So he played well today also. Defensively, again, only allowing 10 points. The one really good drive for Baltimore where they just dominated us. Aside from that, nothing really allowed until the fourth quarter, holding the Ravens to a field goal with under a minute left when they had to kick the onside kick. So good game on defense. 2 forced fumbles, 4 sacks. You're getting splash plays. You're holding guys to short fields. We did have a hard time with our inside linebackers trying to cover the halfbacks and tight ends, but we always do, and that's what they were going to key on this week. So when they did, they were successful. Other than that, pretty good shutdown D. 10 points even though it's against the backup Ravens. You got to wonder if the starters started, if it would have been a closer game. I think it might have been. Special teams-wise, Calvin Austin finally gets a chance for a couple returns. The Baltimore's punter was out of this world. Game ball to Baltimore's punter for those guys. He killed us today. Calvin Austin, he outkicked his coverage several times where Austin had room to run a little bit. So 5 returns for 92 yards. Good to see Calvin Austin getting some nice runs. He bobbled a couple. He bobbled one and fumbled one and picked him back up and ran nicely. So good composure on his part. Also, Godwin Igwebuike made a nice play where they kicked the ball off. And the ball wasn't caught, but it stuttered itself at the 10-yard line, so that would have been a live fumble. Igwebuike put his feet out of bounds and fell on the ball inbounds, meaning the play was a penalty going to the 40-yard line. So excellent play for him as well. Chris Boswell, 1 for 1. He is what you'd expect him to be. Excellent game for Boswell. Presley Harvin, not good today. 6 punts, 250 yards, 41.7 per punt average. only 2 of the 6 inside the 20. We're punting on a short field a lot today, so to only get 2 balls out of the 6 inside the 20 on short fields, that's bad, man. When you're playing a divisional game for your life and you're playing in a rain game, field position means everything. Being able to punt cleanly and get good field position means the difference in the game most times. Thankfully, it didn't cost us today. One of Harvin's good punts was called back on a penalty. Out of his 6, only 2 inside the 20. I would say he had one really good one that was actually very short but rolled because Baltimore wasn't up that far. So one of his good punts was actually a bad punt. Not the best today. Harvin's been inconsistent. He's had good games, but his highs are not worth his lows. His lows are bad, and he's been really bad the last couple of weeks, except for last week when he only had 1 punt. So I'd be calling the end of Harvin's Pittsburgh Steeler career next week. So that's the game for us. Anyway, Pittsburgh holds serve. Mason goes 3-0. The run game carries us. The defensive splash plays carry us. We win 17-10. We get to 10-7, a 10-win season. 1 game off of the record prediction that I predicted to start the season. I called us 11-6. We finished 10-7. If we had, again, to think about it, if we had won just one of those 3 games against the Patriots, the Cardinals, or the Colts, we'd be guaranteed in the playoffs right now. We would have clinched already. Now, the Colts are a solid team right up there with us, right in that 9-10 win team range. I'm not going to fault us for losing to a decent Colts team, but the Patriots and Cardinals are 2 of the worst teams in the NFL. Even with Kyler Murray back, the Cardinals are bad and the Patriots are really bad. So for us to lose those 2 games, you gotta complain about those. If you win just one of those, you're in the playoffs. That being said, here are the scenarios since we have won. Here's what needs to happen for us. The game right now that's playing in the next hour or so is Texans-Colts. If they tie, I believe Pittsburgh gets in automatically. If they tie tonight, that's the most unlikely scenario. The 2 easier things we need, one of these 2 things needs to happen for us to get in the playoffs now. Either the Miami Dolphins beat the Buffalo Bills or the Tennessee Titans beat the Jacksonville Jaguars. One of those 2 things has to happen and we're in. Now, both those seem quite possible. The Bills are playing for their playoff spot and they've been one of the hottest teams in the league. But Miami is playing for the 2nd seed. If they win tomorrow, they get seed number 2. If they lose, they go to the 6th seed. They are playing for a wide home field advantage minus the 1 seed. So they're playing for a lot, and they should have a lot of their starting players in. So yes, Buffalo's been hot. Miami can definitely beat Buffalo. They're a very talented team. That can definitely happen. Also, Jacksonville is getting their starters back tomorrow as well, and they're playing for a playoff berth. Tennessee is out of the playoffs. But Tennessee has Ryan Tannehill starting, who I think is actually much better than Will Levis, and played pretty good last week in relief of Will Levis. And Tennessee's playing divisional spoiler against Jacksonville, who has a hard time with that division. They've always got a hard time with Tennessee, and that division always plays each other in weird, tough games in the last week of the season. Jacksonville got bumped out a couple years ago by similar circumstances. So I think any of those 4 outcomes is possible. Jacksonville could beat Tennessee. Tennessee could beat Jacksonville. Miami could beat Buffalo. Buffalo could beat Miami. We could win both of our games or lose both of our games. So only one has to happen. We're cheering tomorrow for Tennessee and for Miami. If that happens, we get in the playoffs, and we'll see what happens with Mason Rudolph going forward. I got to imagine he's the starter. If not, we finish the year 10-7. It is Tomlin's 10th 10-win season, who surpasses Bill Cowher for that record for Steelers history. You have to think positive about winning 3 games in a row and doing our job to get ourselves in, finishing at 10-7 with Mason Rudolph in there, and you got to wonder what the future holds. So I will come back to you guys next week, whether we get in or not. If I'll be doing a Steeler playoff review if we get in, and if we don't get in, I'll be talking about the future of the franchise and what some of these things mean for the offense and defense. Still cheering, crossing our fingers for tomorrow. Go Steelers. Either way, I'll see you guys next week with some Steeler coverage. Take care. Hopefully I'll see you guys in the playoffs.